to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Tuesday, and every Tuesday I jump on and share a sketch challenge with you. I kind of like this sketch challenge. You can do all sorts of things. I say this a lot. You can do all sorts of things with this one. But I'm going to show you how you can use a piece of designer series paper and kind of create a picture. Because our designer series paper is so amazing that it does have pictures on it, some of it, and it's always a shame to cut it up. But I am going to cut it up today, and so we'll show you how this will go together. The sketch will go live on Facebook and Instagram in about a half hour's time, so if you miss any of the measurements, you can hop over to my Facebook page, group, or Instagram feed and find it. Hey Pam, welcome. Okay, I am using, if you figured this out, I am in love with the Berry Cute or Berry Christmas suite from the new catalog. And so this is another card that uses the Berry Cute card designer series paper and stamp set. Not using the punch today. Not going to cut that. Not going to punch that adorable polar bear out. All right. Hey, Betty, welcome. All right, let me switch over and we'll get started. Okay, so this is the sketch. As I said, if you miss any of the measurements, just hop over to Facebook and Instagram afterwards. So the card base is your typical 5.5 by 8.5 or 4.25 by 11. Hey, Jan. Oh, yay. Yeah, this is a great bundle, Betty. And then there's an extra layer on here that is 4 inches by 5.25. Then you need 3 pieces of cardstock, designer series paper, whatever works for you, that is 1.25 by 5. Now I took a piece that was 3.75 by 5 and cut it into 3, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But you could use 3 different pieces. You could use 3 pieces of cardstock that you've embossed. You could do all sorts of things with this. And then I've got a sentiment layer. So I've got a layer which is 1 inch by 3.75. And then the sentiment, the piece that you're going to stamp on, is about 3/4 by 3.75. You could make that bigger or smaller than as you need to based on your sentiment. All right. So I've showed you this before. This is the Berry Cute stamp set. It's photopolymer with these cute polar bears, a tree. You can stamp scarves, some presents, and some really cute sentiments. There is a punch that punches this bear out, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple today without even using that. I'm using the Merry Christmas stamp, though. These images are at 85%, so the images are actually bigger. The stamped images are actually bigger than what they appear. It is photopolymer, and I will just say, when you pull this off the piece of plastic, I don't know what it is, plastic cellophane that it's on, be careful when you pull these off, because I saw somebody where they pulled it off and it did rip. You can still use it, but it did rip. And so just be a little careful. It is photopolymer and it has this hole in the middle so that you don't, when you stamp, you don't get a kind of a blotch of ink in the middle. So just be a little gentle with it as you pull it off of that piece. I'm going to take my Merry Christmas off. And let's stamp some snowflakes. Okay. All right, so I have got my pieces here. So I'm using Balmy Blue as my card base. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and so I will score it at 4.25. Measure that. Yeah, right. Sometimes they look different, so they look bigger than they actually are. All right, so I've scored that at 4.25, and as always, I fold into the mountain or the raised line and give that a good burnish. I love this bundle too. How can you tell? A whole bunch of my cards these days are using it. All right, so I have a piece of Night of Navy. This is 4 inches by 5.25. And then I took, if I can figure out how this goes together. There we go. I took a piece of the designer series paper, and this one's kind of a fun scene with the polar bears and the trees. And so I took a piece of this designer series paper and I cut it 3 3/4 by 5, and then I cut it at 1 1/4. So I have 3 pieces that are 1 1/4 inch by 5. And we're going to take these. Oops. Not use glue dots. Take these. Now, these are going to go on this piece of Night of Navy. So you will have enough room to be able to have a little bit of a gap between the pieces. There won't be much. There'll be more at the top and bottom, a little bit more at the top and the bottom than there will be in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere the one on the left and the right first, because it kind of, I have a sense of how much space there is. It's fairly close. So you're just going to have a bit of a peekaboo on the left-hand side. As I said, a little bit more on the top and bottom. And then I'm going to adhere the right piece, the right side piece. Like that. Just a little peekaboo of the Night of Navy on that edge. And then the middle piece. And this one will just go in between with a gap in. There. So it still looks like you have this cute little picture. So as I said, you could use 3 pieces of embossed cardstock. You could use 3 pieces of different designer series paper. You could even do some stamping. Create your own designer series paper and then cut it into pieces. Lots of things you could do with this. But I have this cute little scene. Hey Peg, welcome. Hey Maya, welcome. All right, so then I've cut. Now I actually think my measurements say 3 3/4. I actually think I cut these at 4 inches, but it doesn't really matter. You can do 3 3/4, which would take you to the edge of the designer series paper, or you could do 4 inches, which will take you to the edge of that layer. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this, I think in Night of Navy. Yep. First thing I grabbed, so it'll be Night of Navy. All right, so we're going to stamp this. We're going to use the Merry Christmas sentiment. Let's press that on there. And we will just stamp that in the middle. And while I have my ink pad out, you know, I was sure I had a piece. Oh, I did. I went back and specifically cut a piece for the inside of the card, and then I left it over on my workspace. So, okay, so while I have my Night of Navy, I'm just going to take and stamp some of these little, there's 2 sizes of snowflakes. Oops, I didn't do that one very well. Let's try that again. Got a really big block and a really little stamp. So sometimes it works better if you actually have a smaller, use the kind of the size of the block that's most appropriate. That's a little bit big. I sometimes find that I don't press down as well as I should if my block is the wrong size. So just a tip, try and use the size of block that is closest to the size of your stamp. All right, and there you can see, usually I always stamp on the inside of my card on the right-hand side, but because I'd started to stamp there and I turned it over, sometimes you can see the stamped images on the back side a little bit. They come through. So I tend to try and stamp over those. That way I'm not going to see the snowflakes that I started to stamp on the other side of this paper if I do it like that. Anyway, as you may have noticed, I typically stamp in the bottom right-hand corner for for my, when I stamp on the inside of my card. I don't know, just a habit I've got into. All right, so I've put my Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to put this across like that. I'm going to kind of position so I don't cover up my polar bears, because they're too cute. I love the paper. You can actually, I don't think it's this paper. There is one of the papers that you can punch the bear from, but you can easily cut these. I know you guys, not everybody loves to fussy cut like I do, but you could easily cut these bear images out, or the tree images. They're really cute too. I love this one with the star on the top. They're kind of whimsical. All right, and I'm not gonna try and not cover up my bears. Okay, so the last thing we of course need is some sparkle. So I pulled out my rhinestones. These are just the basic rhinestones. And sometimes it's just these rhinestones are just perfect. Now, I'm not going to do this today, but you know you can color these rhinestones using your Stamp and Blends. Yeah, not everybody loves to fussy cut like I do. But you know, you try a little bit. So yeah, if you want to coordinate your rhinestones with your card, you can just take and color them with your Stamp and Blends. I'm actually just going to use the rhinestones as they are, and I like to use the putty end of my Take Your Pick tool to pick up. These are the large size. Sometimes they come off easier than others. So I'm just going to put, there we go, put 3 of those rhinestones on my sentiment layer. I use the large rhinestones way more than I use the little rhinestones, so I end up with lots of sheets. So if anybody has great ideas for using the little rhinestones, I know I talked to somebody, I think it was somebody on my team who said, oh no, I use the little rhinestones way more than the big ones. So it's interesting how we kind of get into kind of habits of what we're using, but I tend to use the large rhinestones. All right, to get a little bit of the putty. Let's try and hide that. There we go. Okay, so there's the card. Cute little scene from the designer series paper. It's so cute to just have the designer series paper be the star of the show. Isn't that cute with the, oopsie, with the sweater? I think he's so cute. All right. So let's see, where am I? There we are. We could swap rhinestones. That's interesting, Peg. I don't know why I use the large ones first. So, and you use the small ones. You know, that's funny. I mean, I've heard that before, and I guess it's just habits we get into. Yeah, anyway. Let's see. My schedule's changing a little bit just for this next few days, because I'm off to Calgary tomorrow morning to spend some time with my sisters. It was my sister's birthday yesterday, so we're taking her to Banff for a couple of days on Friday and Saturday. I'm really excited. I haven't been to Banff. If any of you are from, some of you are from Canada. I know Betty lives close. Yeah, you can the small rhinestones and put them on the tree as bubbles. That would be a great idea, Betty. Goodness. There we go. I've got an idea for using my little rhinestones. Yeah, so I'm going to Calgary tomorrow, and then we're taking my sister to Banff for a couple of days. So I'm excited. I haven't been to Banff for many, many years, and I'm excited to do that. So as a result of me being away, I will not be live. Yes, I am coming to your country, Betty. I will not be live Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to take 4 days off and not worry about trying to go live while I'm away. But I will be back live next Tuesday with another sketch challenge for you. So I hope you guys have a great time. Don't forget to, if you're not part of my Facebook group, the link is underneath this video, hop over there and request to join, but share your projects. I love to see what you're all creating, and maybe at the end of the month, I will send you some happy mail. So yeah, share your projects. I love to see what everybody is busy working on. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Hope you have a great week, and we will see you next week. Happy stamping. Bye.